Well, thank you, Chairman Davison, and appreciate you holding this very important hearing today. Director Gacki, thank you so much for coming out to Iowa. And while we may be, you're under the Biden administration, you're now serving under the Trump administration, I want to say I appreciate you hearing from folks in our district and coming with me and holding a roundtable to actually be able to discuss some of the things that are working. Today, we're going to talk about some of the things that are challenges. When you came out, we talked about the Corporate Transparency Act. We talked about the policing of over 32 million small businesses and the heavy impact that placed on them, everything from $8,000 per small business to be able to reach compliance. And if they failed, we were talking about a $500 a day fine, in some cases up to 2 years imprisonment for failure. Now, you got some Iowa Nice feedback on that, and I appreciate you being there to hear from them. But it will be no surprise to you, I would like to talk about some of the red tape that's impacting us today. Right now, FinCEN receives close to 20 million CTRs and 5 million SARs. These are financial reporting requirements. Challengingly, it's believed that most of that information that was done by financial institutions, including very small institutions, was never used. To make matters worse, it found that these can take over 21 hours to complete each one of those. So let's put this in real-world terms. In Main Street, Iowa, that means we've got folks spending upwards of 533 million hours filing reports for FinCEN and the federal government. I'd like to ask, do we have any perspective on how many of those reports resulted in actual prosecutions?
Thank you, Representative Nunn, and I want to thank you again for welcoming me and my team to Iowa. So one of the key objectives of this administration that we're focused on is reforming the Bank Secrecy Act regime, the MLCFT regime in the United States, to ensure that it is risk-based and focused on the highest threats impacting our law enforcement and national security, and that law enforcement is directing its resources to those highest priority threats.
Understood.
And part of that is taking a look at reporting. It's the reporting that we gained. We work very hard to try to ensure that we are engendering that feedback loop between law enforcement and financial institutions to show that the reporting is being used. And I think that it's not just prosecutions that are that happen, but that this reporting helps with this.
Director Gacki, I appreciate that. Now, here's the reality. We did this with CTA. We went after 40,000 bad actors, but we snared 32 million Americans in the process. My concern here is we're looking at 25, 26 million reports. How many arrests were made as a result of this reporting? Can you just give me a number?
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't have the number off the top.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Let me ask this. Can you commit to publishing the effectiveness of those numbers?
Certainly, I can look. What we do in an annual report that we put out is we try to distill.
Right, I'm going to look for the last year's numbers, and I'm going to compare it to the 26 million and the 533 million hours of reporting. We need to do some analysis on this. The other part is our community banks are drowning in red tape while cartels are clearly laundering billions in fentanyl dollars. We need to focus on the real results, not on the compliance reports requirements coming out of banks. Let's agree to go after the bad actors. I want to quickly get to the Treasury hack that occurred earlier this year when the Chinese Communist Party went after Treasury systems. Who at Treasury was fired for allowing the Chinese into Treasury systems?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't have a response to that question.
Okay. The hack showed exactly why sensitive small business ownership data that doesn't belong on government systems was intentionally hacked. There's no indication that anyone was held accountable. If this happened to one of my small banks or my small credit unions, those guys would be out on the street and there would be a full inspection into what happened. I've not seen that happen at Treasury. So here's my ask right now. For those banks and lending institutions that have data on your systems that were hacked by the Chinese that I think are arbitrarily being kept on data servers, are you willing to help us commit to deleting those before another breach occurs?
Sir, I'm happy to make sure that the information that we collect and protect is held to the highest security standards. I'm aware of no breach of the Bank Secrecy Act data that we protect.
Well, let's look and see the after action of what happened with the Chinese, because I've seen no accountability to be able to actually hold whether that's true or not. I look forward to opportunities to work together on that. And then finally, Director Gacki, I think one of the things we have worked on together is the GUARD Act, making sure money laundering does not take place. I'd like to thank you for giving our team technical assistance on going after this, protecting seniors, and helping our local and state law enforcement. You know, is there anything you'd like to add on what we're doing to help protect through the GUARD Act?
I'd just like to thank you for your focus on the important issue in the GUARD Act, and just want to, if you need any further technical assistance, we're happy to supply it. Thank you.
Appreciate to work together. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield the remainder of my time. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Nunn. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to submit for the record a report by the Independent Community Bankers of America for the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, recommendations for better coordinated and more effective policies enforcement. Without objection, we'll pause for a swap out on microphones. We have a failing microphone.